it. Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about something deeply personal. Something I think a lot of us parents grapple with, but are often too scared to admit: our biggest parenting mistakes. I'm not here to present myself as a perfect parent. Far from it. I've made mistakes. Some that I still think about late at night. Some that I truly regret. And for a long time, the guilt was overwhelming. But I've come to realize that the journey isn't about being a flawless parent. It's about what we do after we mess up. It's about growth, forgiveness, and repair. So today I'm sharing my story, my worst mistakes, and how I'm trying to recover from them. Not for sympathy, but in the hope that it might help someone else who is feeling lost in that same sea of guilt. My first big mistake was all about control. When my kids were little, I was obsessed with having a perfectly clean house, a rigid schedule, and kids who were always well behaved. I thought this was what good parenting looked like. If my son spilled his juice, my first reaction wasn't concern for him, but frustration about the mess. I'd sigh dramatically, maybe even snap a little. If my daughter was too loud while playing, I'd shush her constantly, telling her to use her inside voice even when we were at the park. I was micromanaging their childhood. I thought I was creating order, but what I was really doing was suffocating their natural curiosity and joy. I was teaching them that my approval was conditional, based on them not making a mess or being too boisterous. The look of disappointment on their faces when they were just trying to be kids, that's a memory that still stings. The turning point came one afternoon. My son, who was about 5 at the time, was building a magnificent tower with blocks. It was wobbly and chaotic, and he was so proud. As he reached for one more block, the whole thing came crashing down. Blocks scattered everywhere. And before I could even stop myself, I said, "Oh, for goodness sake. Now look at this mess." I didn't yell, but my tone was sharp, dripping with annoyance. He just froze. His proud smile vanished and his shoulders slumped. He looked down at the blocks, then at me, and his eyes filled with tears. He didn't cry loudly. It was a quiet, defeated kind of sadness. In that moment, I saw myself through his eyes. I wasn't his safe harbor. I was just another source of stress, another person he had to be careful not to disappoint. It broke my heart. I had prioritized a tidy floor over my child's feelings. That night, I couldn't sleep. I realized my need for control wasn't about them. It was about my own anxiety. I was so afraid of chaos, so afraid of being judged as a bad mum, that I was damaging the most important relationships in my life. My second major mistake was tied to expectations. I pushed my kids towards activities that I thought would look good on a future college application, not activities they were genuinely passionate about. My daughter had a lovely voice, so I signed her up for choir and private singing lessons. She went along with it, but her heart wasn't in it. She wanted to be in the art club, spending hours drawing and sculpting. But I thought music was more prestigious. I'd say things like, but you have such a gift for singing. Don't you want to develop it? What she heard was, "What you want doesn't matter as much as what I want for you." I was so focused on this imaginary future that I was completely missing the amazing, creative, artistic person right in front of me. The wake-up call for this one was a parent-teacher conference. Her art teacher pulled me aside and showed me a portfolio of her work. It was incredible. The detail, the imagination, the pure passion that shone through every piece was undeniable. The teacher said she has a real talent. She spends every spare second she has in the art room. She just comes alive here. And then she asked, why isn't she in the after-school art club? The question hit me like a ton of bricks. I mumbled something about her busy schedule with choir. The teacher just gave me a knowing look. I went home that day feeling like the world's biggest fool. I had been so blind. I was trying to mold my daughter into my idea of success instead of helping her discover her own. So, how did I start to recover? It wasn't an overnight fix. It was, and still is, a process. The first and most important step was apologizing, a real, heartfelt apology. I sat down with my kids individually. I told them I was sorry for being so focused on a clean house that I made them feel bad for just being kids. I told my daughter I was sorry for pushing my dreams on her instead of supporting hers. I didn't make excuses. I didn't say, I was just trying to be a good mum. I just said, I was wrong, and I'm sorry I hurt you. It was one of the hardest conversations I've ever had, but also one of the most freeing. They were hesitant at first, but they saw I was sincere. That apology opened the door for repair. After the apology came the action. Words are meaningless without change. I had to actively work on letting go of control. I started saying yes more. Yes to messy art projects on the kitchen table. Yes to building blanket forts that take over the entire living room. Yes to spontaneous dance parties that go on a little too late. I learned to take a deep breath when a drink spills. I now say, uh-oh, let's clean it up together, instead of sighing in frustration. It's a conscious choice every single day to prioritize connection over perfection. I also immediately pulled my daughter out of the singing lessons she dreaded and signed her up for the art club. I bought her a proper set of paints and an easel for her birthday. The joy on her face was all the validation I needed. I started asking them, what do you think? What do you want to do? And then I actually listened to their answers. It's about shifting your mindset from being a manager to being a guide. I've learned that my role isn't to dictate their lives, but to provide a safe and loving environment where they can figure out who they are. It means forgiving myself. We can't change the past, but we can change the present and the future. I still have moments where my old habits creep in, where the urge to control or push my agenda rises up. But now I'm more aware. I can catch myself and choose a different path. I can apologize quickly and sincerely when I mess up again, because I will mess up again. We all will. Parenting is a journey of constant learning. My biggest mistakes have become my greatest teachers. They taught me humility, empathy, and the true meaning of unconditional love. My relationship with my kids is so much stronger now. It's more honest, more joyful, and built on a foundation of mutual respect, not fear. We laugh more. The house is messier, and our schedule is looser, but our home is so much happier. So if you're out there struggling with guilt over your own parenting mistakes, please know you are not alone. It doesn't make you a bad parent, it makes you a human parent. The most important thing is not that you fell down, but that you're willing to get back up, apologize, and try to do better. Give yourself grace. Give your kids your authentic self and focus on connection above all else. That's where the real magic of parenting happens. Thank you so much for listening to my story today. It wasn't easy to share, but I hope it helps. If you have any thoughts or have been on a similar journey, I'd love to read about it in the comments. Let's support each other. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content about the real, messy, beautiful journey of parenthood. See you next time.